everybody, it's David with No Chaser. And today's topic is this kind of phenomenon that I've come across, that I've seen before, that I've experienced before. And here's how it goes. So recently I went in for a checkup. For the first time, this wasn't like just some doctor checking me out because I was in detox or in a rehab facility or anything. Just a good old-fashioned checkup, just to see how things were, because I'm getting older and there's more scarier things when you get older. It's fun times. Anyways, so I had a checkup, and it was just to see, how the old liver was doing. Thank you, liver, for hanging with me this long. Truly takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And other stuff too. There's more important things than when you're an alcoholic. You really only think about your liver. There's cholesterol and whatever, all that type of stuff. So, anyways, I had this checkup. And I was just waiting for my results back from the doctor. Took a while, which is kind of a funny paradox to be in, because usually if you hear news right away, that's not good. But also, you don't want to have, I don't know, you don't want it on your mind for so much, because then you think maybe it is bad news, and they just threw it on a pile of other papers, and, you just the waiting, because the mind by itself, the imagination can create all sorts of scenarios that are scary. So anyways, I got the news back, and you know what? A clean bill of health. Finally, one of the things is that as much as I may have struggled over the years of being sober for a while and then falling off and just having, these sprouts of sobriety that they may last a little bit, but then come back into relapse. The one good thing is that actually does some healing, when I was in the dog days of drinking, and I drinking daily, and then the tolerance getting higher and higher, if I just kept doing that, I would never have any time to sort of heal. Now, with that being said, I got this, news from the doctor that things were pretty good, actually. There wasn't any irreparable damage I've done to my liver somehow, and possibly how, I'm truly grateful for something like that, because not all genetics are alike. I know people that drink as much as I did and their kidneys failed. Some people, it doesn't take that much, and some people, like my great grandfather, who drank from when he was 18 to when he was 80, his liver still kept going. Again, amazingly how kidneys were intact. So it's unfortunately just this kind of crapshoot about how your genetics and how your health will be. But with that being said, it said everything was all good. And I'll tell you what, with that nice, awesome news, the first thing that came to mind, the first thought, because I am an alcoholic no matter what, and I'm crazy, the first thought was, my mind actually does this when I talk in this voice too. This sneaky little voice of mine. I go, a clean bill of health, eh? That means maybe it wasn't too bad. You've only, almost died multiple times from alcohol poisoning and have gotten DUIs and hurt many people in your life and lost a lot of friendships and good jobs. But maybe it wasn't that bad, because this little piece of paper says things are pretty good. This little thing from a doctor, mind you, says things weren't that bad, right? Things were totally... Let's forget about all that and just focus on the piece of paper that the doctor gave me and said things were good. Now, of course, I knew this was a crazy idea immediately. It wasn't going to trick me for a second, but it was just mind-boggling that this was the first thought. And this had happened to me before. You know how I said that I was in treatments before where they kind of checked my liver enzymes and things like that. And, they had said to me before, while sitting in treatment, mind you, that, hey, your liver enzymes aren't really too bad. This is when they were high, and they were like, they weren't really too bad. And I was just like, maybe I'm not dead. And I'm sitting in a rehab center during all this. And so that's just this phenomenon that sort of happens, the phenomenon of the crazy alcoholic mind, because I'm not the only one who this thought has come to. I've heard plenty of people tell me this exact same experience. They're worried about their health because of their drinking or their drug use or both, and then they get good news. The good news that, hey, you haven't done anything irreparable or irreversible, and hey, things are actually pretty good. Be grateful. And instead of going like, oh, that's so great to hear, they go, maybe time for another run, maybe some more self-destruction, and maybe some more hurting of others, and maybe just going back to that awful, awful life, maybe. And, I take this as phenomenon as just another measurement of how crazy the mind can be, you know. Luckily, I wasn't in this vulnerable state like I had been before, where I actually wanted to run with this idea. Now, I've had it before and not believed it. I've understood how crazy it was, but you know, sometimes again in a vulnerable state, I'd want to take off with the idea and run, or maybe the idea I wouldn't be tricked into thinking that things were all good, but just that thought that hey, maybe we can do it again, would be tantalizing enough to want to go back out. You know, that's another thing that like this topic kind of leads to, is that these thoughts can kind of pile on each other if they go completely unchecked in a way. Like I could just cast off that, you know, as a crazy thought, but if it was something that really stung me for a moment, that kind of captivated my mind for just a second too much longer, I'd probably need to talk to somebody. Even though it doesn't feel like I should, because I was like, hey, I saw it for what it was and just disregarded it. But if it just stayed for just a little bit too long, if that super crazy kind of thought just kind of spoke to you in a way, or if you just started salivating a little bit too longer, or you started like, you know, doing the whole fantasy sort of thing. And I'm not talking about role play, I'm talking about fantasizing of just, you know, maybe I can go back out again, or I know I can't go back out again, but let's just think about what it would be like. And of course, when you do that, you're not thinking about bad stuff. You're thinking about, you know, what you want it to be able to drink normally. You want to drink normally so you can get drunk every day like a normal person. That's what I always think. I always love that phrase. You know, I want to drink normally so I can get drunk every day like a normal person. It's so stupid. But, or you don't just have that thought. You have this thought of maybe I'll be a functional alcoholic. You know, you don't even sell yourself very high. Like I would honestly do this where I would just, you know, be in this crazy mindset. You know, this is especially if I just relapsed, or especially when I was actually, you know, in it for some time, or in the tail end of some bender or something. I would just be like, maybe I could just, if I try, I could be a normal alcoholic, or sorry, a functioning alcoholic. Which again, you know, as I go back to it, just that this kind of craziness would just start with a thought that even if I disregarded it, but it was, you know, like I said, captivating enough, and I let it just go completely unchecked. Like completely unchecked. Like that's a moment where if I have that thought, I need to sit back and actually do a full, as they call playing the tape forward, or, you know, playing just at things as they would go out. And doing it honestly so. Like truly like playing things out in my mind. I would need to do this to go, no, 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 no. Let's put this stupid thought on trial. Let's actually do this and play it out honestly, what you think would really happen. And, you know, after, you know, practicing honesty with yourself long enough, you would get used to the idea of when you played it out, you'd be like, okay, you would drink. Now, what would happen when you drink? Would you just stop? I mean, would you have a couple beers? Would you even have beer? Or would you have vodka? And would you just stop with one shot? Would you buy your cheap vodka and put it in a martini glass and be like, cheers, like, you know, with like a little lemon twist or something in my like $9 bottle of vodka? Would I actually do that? Would I just do anything that I've never done before? Is that realistic there? Or would the past and the mountains of evidence that I've collected in my life show me a different road? Or not a different road, rather the same road, just different from the road that I want. It would just go into, oh, I've drank it, now my brain is taken out and a new one's put in. And then I go into crazy, sort of this nihilistic, you know, depressed drinking mode. And then I get to the point where now that I've drank, you know, as time goes on, it's just like, you know, a progressive disease. And I don't mean progressive in like, you know, thinking on the left or thinking in a liberal sort of way or anything. I mean progressive in the sense that it's just gotten worse and it affects the mind worse. So I could drink once and I could already get in that stage where I start to go through like withdrawals if I don't drink. Just after drinking a few days. Now I'm a person that used to drink, you know, like day in, day out. And yet after just a few days of drinking, I'll have withdrawals that I have after like, you know, months and months of drinking daily. And so this would all happen. If I'm being honest with myself, I'd need to play that out. So I just took this little experience and this little phenomenon of the crazy thinking of an alcoholic mind and tried to show you the importance of, well, try to show myself the importance of why you have to, if you have these thoughts, if it doesn't just go away immediately, if it's not truly fleeting, if you really think about it for a moment, if you savor it, if you do that, if I do that, sorry, it's so hard to talk in this way, but I really am talking to myself mostly when I make these videos. If I give any sort of needed direction that I think I need to know. I mean, that's not entirely true. Sometimes this stuff I know has worked for countless others, you know, just testimonial everywhere that this is kind of the route that people who have been successful in sobriety have taken. So, again, if I have a thought like that and I leave that thought maybe unchallenged, or it goes a little bit too far, I know I need to play the tape out, or at least, I need to really be honest with myself what will happen. I need to taste what it was like, the awful taste of the day after. I need to feel those withdrawals again. I need to feel the, waking up with text messages of everyone hating me. I need to feel all that type of stuff, going through withdrawals and being both sweaty and cold at the same time, barely able to eat food, actually not even able to eat food, not able to brush my teeth in the morning. I need to go through all that in my mind if I'm going to think about this crazy thought just for a little bit. If it's truly not crazy for a moment, I need to give myself a sort of reality check of what would happen if I took that drink. Anyways, clean bill of health, so I was glad about that. So again, I can't even get good news without some sort of battle sometimes, but usually, things always, get easier as time goes on. So with that being said, if you like this video, like, subscribe, do the notification bell. If you don't want to do that, that's cool too. I'm glad you just watched it anyways, and if you're still struggling, my heart goes out to you. Even if you're drinking right now, I'm glad you're watching this with maybe some sort of plan to, kick the habit. No judgment here, ever. If you're still new in recovery and you're struggling, more power to you. If you haven't been struggling, but you're just curious to watching this video, or if you have loved ones that are in addiction, which we almost all do in one form of another, my heart goes out to you in that vein too, and hopefully this video has been educational in some sort of way, or at least entertaining, maybe a little bit of both. Anyways, I'm talking too much. Be well.